This movie Tunnel is about a man who's buried under a collapsed tunnel. See what happens to him inside the tunnel and others outside the tunnel. Lee is having his car refueled, but the old attendant is very clumsy, who has even filled the gas up though Lee told him $30 of gas. Hurriedly the boss apologizes, so he accepts it and goes away, when the attendant stops him and hands him complimentary bottles of water. He's a busy car dealer who usually gets home late, but it's his daughter's birthday, who wants a dog for her birthday gift, so his wife asks what he thinks, but he disagrees because of the fur, when a client calls and closes a large deal with him, which makes him excited. By the way, driving through a tunnel, he hears strange noises, and the lights go off. After a while, the lights go on again, which makes him frightened. Suddenly, the tunnel starts to collapse from behind his car. Waking up in the total darkness, he notices his car totaled and there's no signal, so he pushes the seat back and reaches out his hand to call 911, but not taking it seriously, the call taker says to wait in a safe place. He finds the bottles of water he was given at the gas station. In the meantime, the rescue team arrive at the tunnel and drop their jaws. TV News reports a month-old tunnel has totally collapsed. Shopping for her daughter's birthday, Lee's wife, Se-Yun, sees the news and hears her husband's name. Lee's phone rings and falls into the stones. When he barely answers the phone, abruptly a reporter starts to interview him, and it's aired live. The reporter asks if he has enough food for the long-term rescue operations, which makes him shocked because he thought he would be rescued at any moment. Rescue team leader Kim rushes to the reporter and shouts to stop because Lee's phone can die. The reporter gets angry Kim interfered with his broadcasting, when Kim asks if broadcasting is more important than saving a life. Kim takes the reporter's phone and deletes Lee's number, saying not to endanger his lifeline. Then his team gets a call from Lee, who gets furious they're not telling him the truth. Calming him down, Kim asks about his phone battery and if he has anything to eat or drink. He tells Lee to eat his cake before it goes bad and drink the water, dividing it into 7 parts, which means he may stay there for 7 days, but Kim assures him they will save him before he drinks all the water. Then Lee sees a ventilation fan over his car, so Kim checks the blueprint, and finds out there are 5 ventilation fans in the tunnel. After the phone call, Lee panics, when he gets a call from his wife, who cries and doesn't know what to do. He assures her he can get out within a week and wants to talk to their daughter. Hurriedly wiping her tears away, she puts her daughter on the phone, who doesn't know what's going on and says to come home early with a dog. When he says yes, she gets excited. He never wants to die for his family, so takes the water and fills between stones with a headrest. But another one is too long. The director of the rescue team explains how to rescue Lee to Minister, saying the construction of the second tunnel connected to that collapsed one should be stopped because the blasting work can affect where Lee is, when a politician says the construction should be finished quickly because of the new town development. Minister says to discuss that with each other. Rescue team fly a drone into the tunnel, but it fails because of the oars blocking the radio wave, so Kim decides to get into the tunnel himself with another worker. Driving quite a while, he arrives at a huge pile of stones, and checks it, when the worker honks the horn, saying Kim's wife called. He warns the worker never to honk again, but he hits the horn by mistake again. Then Lee calls him, and says he just heard honking. All of them are delighted they're not far from each other, but not before long, the tunnel starts collapsing again. Shouting to Lee to hide under the seat, Kim reverses the car frantically, not even closing the door. As soon as he barely gets out of the tunnel, he finds a cell phone to contact Lee. Lee tells Kim he's fine and he can see 3 written on the fan. Minister holds a press conference, after which she meets Se-Yun, and shaking hands, lets the press take pictures. Other politicians take their turn in taking pictures too. On the 3rd day after the collapse, Lee takes a sip of water, enjoying it, and removing dirt, he eats a piece of fruit on the cake. He looks through the trunk and finds some stuff. He cleans the seat with the washer fluid, and puts his soccer uniform on. Then suddenly he hears footsteps and notices a dog coming toward him, when a woman who asks him to help her. Creeping through the fan to go to her, he gets stabbed by a nail. Eventually he finds the woman Mina, who just woke up. She can't move under a huge rock, so he tries to lift it, which never moves. She worries they will just die in there, so he assures as the whole nation is focusing on saving them, they will be rescued within a few days. When she feels thirsty, he gets back to his car. Staring at the unopened one, after some hesitation, he pours some into the other one. After drinking some water, she asks him to give some to her dog Tang too. While he drinks the water, Lee swears at it with an inaudible voice. Saying sorry, she asks him to let her use his phone for a moment and calls her mother. Bursting into tears, she says sorry her mother's car is totaled, and a kind man is helping her very much. And then her mother wants to talk to him, so though embarrassed, He assures her mother he will take her out with him safely. Watching the news about the tunnel, Se-Yun doesn't feel like eating. It starts to rain. Lee barely succeeds in tuning to one radio channel, which plays classic music. Then Mina starts coughing and wants to sleep. Getting back, Lee doesn't eat up his cake to share with Mina and gets some sleep, but he wakes up to find Tang eating it up, which makes him furious and scream. When she asks what's happening, he answers he had a bad dream. Se-Yun makes meals for the rescue workers. Because of the rain, the egg she made falls down, when the worker washes and just eats it. He's so considerate. As Mina calls Lee, he wakes up and goes to her. She's trembling because she's feeling pain and thirsty. Now there remains about a cup of water, but he takes it to her, who's already dead. He tries to wake her up, and push away the stone with all his might, succeeding in pushing it a little, but he finds out rebar stuck into her. He feels like throwing up. After a while, he covers her with his jacket. TV news reports about poor construction of the tunnel. A week has passed and Lee doubts he'll be rescued, but Kim says not to lose hope and urine is sterile. When Lee asks if he has drunk it, Kim says sorry. On the 9th day, after the entrance of the tunnel is strengthened, an excavator goes in. Lee notices food around Tang's mouth and finds a bag of dog food. He suggests Tang share his food because he ate up Lee's cake, and hides the rest in the trunk. Taking off his bark collar, Lee tries it on for fun and gets a shock, hitting stones, which fall down, but, thanks to it, he has a large space that he can stand. Tang does his business there, so he puts up stones on it. Kim goes to the bathroom and suddenly washes his paper cup. Lee gets a call from Kim, who says the ground is so hard that they can get in within 10 days, and he recommends drinking after it gets cold based on his experience. Now Lee imagines his body generates orange juice and tries to drink it, when he hears something drop. Looking through a hole, he sees water dropping from rebar, so reaches out an empty bottle there. He tells Se-Yun not to worry because he can drink water, which is so sweet. The radio says they will broadcast 5-min news for Lee every noon because the channel is the only one Lee can hear. On the 16th day, the drilling team declare Lee can get out within 48 hours. The next day, Se-Yun sends her daughter a text saying she'll bring her daddy, and the daughter says, "What about a dog?" A reporter feels sorry he would be the longest survivor with one more day. When Kim says to break the new record himself. After drilling all the way, Kim calls Lee, who didn't see anything. Then a worker plays the video recorded when the tunnel construction was finished, and the number of fans in the video is different from that in the blueprint, which means they have drilled wrong place for 17 days. Lee is told about it and the drilling should be restarted all over again, so he gets furious and panics, having difficulty breathing. He tells Se-Yun he can't hang in there anymore. When she says if he dies, she and their daughter will also die. She begs him to survive for them, but then his phone dies. Giving back the phone to Kim, she goes back, during which she faints. On the 23rd day, an expert doubts Lee is still alive, and the people involved in the new town development argue the second tunnel construction be resumed. Moreover, during the excavating operations, a worker has an accident and dies. Se-Yun feels too sorry to show herself in the funeral. Meanwhile, Lee's stab wound goes bad, so he squeezes pus and pours the washer fluid onto it. On the other hand, Se-Yun is told her daughter heard other people saying a person died because of Lee, and the dead worker's mother gives back her condolence money and throws eggs at her, saying her son died to take a corpse out. A newspaper says 65% of people agree with resuming the second tunnel construction, and a government official asks her to sign the agreement on it, saying to stop making another victim. All the rescue operations are ordered to stop. Se-Yun goes to the radio station. Lying motionless, Lee hears her calling him. She says she signed the agreement on resuming the construction and the rescue operations are stopped, so he shouldn't wait for anyone to come. But soon she worries he would be alive and listening to it, keeping saying sorry. He bites his battery but to no avail, and starts to crawl into the hole between stones. TV news says the construction is resumed that day, and Kim rushes to the drilling spot, going down alone to find Lee, dead or alive. Getting down all the way, he reaches out the microphone, when Lee arrives at another big empty space, but because of blasting operations, Kim is lifted, with the microphone broken. When the blasting starts, the collapsed tunnel is shaken, so Lee gets out of the hole and hides in a fan. Just smoking at a loss, Kim spots sound being received to the microphone. Putting on headphones, he can hear honking, and from down there, everyone hears honking. Desperately, Lee keeps honking the horn. Kim shouts to stop blasting on the walkie-talkie, but the button is pushed. Lee keeps honking under the falling sand. On the 35th day, rescue workers get down and find a totaled car, and going through a fan, they find Lee lying motionless holding the horn. Finally, Lee and Tang are taken out of the tunnel. Se-Yun rushes to Lee and says sorry, when he strokes her. When it's hard to get out because of the press, the police make a way for them and block the press. Rescue team try to take Lee into a helicopter, but the assistant says to wait for the minister to come. Though Kim gets angry, the assistant says everything has already been arranged, when Lee says something to Kim. A reporter asks what Lee said first to the world, and then Kim shouts, "Get lost, scumbags," he said. Lee raises his thumb up for Kim. But TV news says he did it to thank the government and the nation that supported him. Listening to the classic music channel, when Lee says the title, the host says the same title. The host congratulates on his hospital discharge and hopes their daughter will sleep early that night. But now they have to go through a tunnel. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.